Hi. NLP presuppositions are designed to improve your life. So try them on, take them for a spin around the block and check out the view. The number one presupposition, literally and metaphorically, is people respond to experience, not to reality. What does that mean? Well, to unpack this, let's zoot up Argyris' ladder of inference. Here's the example. I've texted a friend and asked her if she wants to go out for coffee, and she hasn't replied. So there's an immediate pool of data and I select some. The data that I select on the first rung of the ladder is she hasn't replied. There could be other data that my biases cause me to ignore. On the second rung of the ladder, I attribute meaning to that data. She hasn't replied because she's too busy. Now, there could have been all sorts of reasons and all sorts of meanings as to why she hasn't replied. She's too busy, she didn't get the message, her phone's broken, she's ill, there's a family situation, she's on holiday. But my biases have led me to conclude she hasn't replied because she's too busy. And then on top of that, I might go up to the next rung and add some assumptions. She's too busy to go for coffee with me because she doesn't really value our friendship. And then those assumptions will provoke some emotional responses. For example, if I have a fear of rejection, I'll feel rejected, disappointed, frustrated, annoyed, angry. I might have some other assumptions up my sleeve. She's too busy to go to coffee with me because she doesn't value our friendship. And then out of that, I will conclude something. Actually, she doesn't really like me. She's not my friend at all. So you can see at each rung of the ladder, I move further from reality and towards constructing my own experience. And then I might let that experience adjust my beliefs. So in future, I won't bother asking her for coffee. I'll just remain a little bit cold, detached, and less friendly. And then out it pops as my behaviour, leaving my friend to think what went on there and to draw her own conclusions from her own assumptions. All of that, the whizzing up the ladder of inference, happens within nanoseconds. So why does this occur? Well, I imagine that our ancestors that couldn't get up that ladder of inference are all dead. Let's give you an example. So we have Stash and Stan walking through the saber-toothed forest, and Stash goes, "Oh look, there's a saber-toothed tiger. I think we should run." And Stash runs. Meanwhile, philosophical Stan says, I think I'll check out my inferences on this, just to make sure it's not Steve messing about in his saber-toothed costume again. If it's Steve, when it lands on my back, it should weigh about 80 kilograms. That's more like 180. Can I pull the costume off? No, that feels like real fur, and those fangs feel like real fangs, and I'm dead. Stash, meanwhile, gets the girl and gets to pass on his genes. So in life-threatening situations, that ladder of inference is super important and helps you stay alive. You can check your assumptions later, unlike Stan. However, most of our situations are not life-threatening, so in which case it's probably better to check our assumptions before we act. Here's an exercise for you. Think of a situation which you're not entirely happy with, a relationship that might have a minor ripple in it. And consider, go back to the original situation. What data did you select? And was there other data you could have selected? What meaning did you attribute to that data? And were there other meanings you could have attributed? What assumptions, what emotional responses did you have? What biases came into play? How did you conclude? What did you draw from it? How did it affect your beliefs? And how did you act? I pretty much guarantee you that you could sort a lot of that problem out by going back and recognizing you constructed your own experience. Okay. Good luck.